What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now it's time for Ego to take you out of boxing school. Now, I've talked about this before previously, and obviously, as the sport grows and time elapses, sometimes opinions change. But one opinion that I've had has pretty much remained the same, and it's even more so now. And I always told you guys that Sergey Kovalev would give Adonis Stevenson problems, and I think he would probably body him. Some of you guys didn't believe me. I even did a poll. I said, is Adonis Stevenson ducking Sergey Kovalev? Now, I don't base my opinion off of one fight because a lot of fighters, I mean, if that's the case, then you could say, oh, Adrian Broner had a bad fight against De Leon, so, you know what I mean? Or Manny Pacquiao had a bad fight because he got knocked out. So it doesn't, I don't hold you to one fight. George Foreman's a great fighter. Larry Holmes is a great fighter, but they both lost. And they both had bad fights and they've had monumental fights. So this is not based solely on Adonis Stevenson versus Andrew Fonfara, even though I am taking that into consideration. So some people are saying, Ego, why would you favor Sergey Kovalev? Well, I favored him for a minute. And I think we're moving more and more. Like at one point, I was like, this is, damn, that's a good fight. It is a good fight still. But I'm moving more from a 50-50 fight. At one point, I would have probably said, like, oh, yeah, it's a good 50-50 fight. But I'm moving away from that. And the more I see little things, the more I would say that that's actually a 70-30 fight or even an 80-20 possibly. Now, I know some people are going to dislike and get mad, like, you're full of shit, Ego. But let me explain. People are like, oh, why would you favor Kovalev? Simple. Even if you look at today's fight, analyze what troubled Adonis Stevenson with Fonfara. He was a tough Polishman. He battled adversity. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and he kept coming. Now you look over to Sergey Kovalev. What is he? Pretty much the same thing with added souped up benefits. You got Sergey Kovalev, who to me is always game. He shows heart. He's tough. Looks like he can take a punch. Plus, he's a lethal fucking puncher. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Sergey Kovalev actually literally killed a man. Like he fought someone and they died after fighting him. And he felt really bad, and I think he gave his purse to the fighter's family and went to visit him and all kinds of stuff. But he literally killed a human being. Now, some people are like, oh, what if it was a tomato can? That could be true, but it's still a professional athlete and a grown man. So both fighters have power, but I think Kovalev's power is like really, really apparent, if you will. And again, you look at the Fonfara fight, for instance. It's a guy that wouldn't take no for an answer, who could take a punch, who could take a beating and still keep coming. Plus, to me, Kovalev is an underrated boxer. His boxing ability is underrated. Plus, he's a lethal puncher. And it looked like Adonis Stevenson was fatiguing. Those are all the formula for disaster if Stevenson were to fight Kovalev. You got a brutal, brute force, devastating puncher. And you have stamina issues. And to me, what I'm seeing from Adonis Stevenson, he looks, when he's boxing on point, he looks beautiful doing it. And I like both fighters, but let's keep it real. There's also guys like Jorge Linares, who, when he's on, he's on. He looks crispy. His punches look great. His footwork, it looks very fluid. But to me, Stevenson is a guy who, he likes being, if you will, feared. Like he likes it when the opponent gives him a lot of respect and respects his power and his slick boxing ability. But when you get a guy who has that Marcos Maidana, Fonfara, Kovalev type of attitude that I don't give a fuck, I'm willing to go out and die, go out on a stretcher, go out on my shield to win this fight. I don't care if I take punishment. I just want to cut you off. Then that's a different type of fight. I think Stevenson, he likes to be kind of the dictator. Like he was picking Tavoris Cloud the fuck up. Tavoris Cloud looked lost, and Tavoris Cloud is a power puncher. But Kovalev is good at cutting off the ring, something that Fonfara, he was cutting off the ring, but he was following, and he wasn't really doing anything. He wasn't getting Stevenson's respect. I think with the type of power that Kovalev has, he doesn't have to worry about getting his respect. because Stevenson will feel his punches straight up. They're like certain guys, I've talked to different people. Certain guys, they hit you and it just feels like a ton of bricks. You feel every single punch. When I interviewed Mauricio Herrera, he said, yo, Ruslan's power is the real deal. We talked off air too, and he was just telling me straight up, everything he threw, you felt, and it gradually wears you down and breaks you down. So really, I think Kovalev will body bag Adonis Stevenson. Again, it could be a good fight. I've been wrong in predictions before. Maybe I'll be wrong on this, but I would definitely put my money on Kovalev. Just underrated ring generalship in the sense of cutting off the ring. He has a lot of veteran experience. Some people are going to argue and be like, oh, bullshit, who has he fought, who has he beat? But nowadays, in the scope of boxing today, there's a lot of people that don't fight. Like Canelo, there's a point in time where we could say Canelo ain't fought nobody, but he's looking like he's pretty damn good for his age. Looks like he has some pretty good skills and a good skill set. You can look at Keith Thurman. Technically, who the fuck has he fought? He fought Jesus Soto Caras, who is a guy who was not far removed from losing like 3 or 4 out of his last 6 or 7 fights at one point, and he had the Berto win. So someone with the chin, but he lost to Maidana. He lost to a ton of people. Gabe Rosado. So someone who's kind of towards the twilight of their career, someone who's considered a journeyman. Keith Thurman beat him. And I'm not knocking Keith Thurman. I'm just being real using that psychology. You also look at Keith Thurman versus Diego Chavez, a fighter who showed his worth, but nobody's really heard of him. A lot of people don't know the opponents he's faced. He just showed up and he looks like he's a good boxer and all that. So using that logic, you can truthfully say Keith Thurman hasn't fought anybody. But guess what? Does Keith Thurman hold a very strong chance to run through the welterweight division and knock off a lot of top guys? Absolutely. So I don't gauge things based on who have they fought. Like if it's someone who's like Kell Brook or something and they have 30 plus fights, 40,000 fights, and they've been a pro since 1996 and they still haven't fought nobody, okay, that's a problem. But nowadays in boxing, fights aren't made for a variety of reasons. Some people aren't sellable. They don't have the marketable image. Like Adrian Broner might get an opportunity that Terrence Crawford doesn't get. Not because he has better boxing skills. It might be because Adrian Broner's talking about crabs and knows how to brand and sell himself or get people to tune in because they want to see him lose. So nowadays in boxing, you have a lot of that. You have too many belts. You have paper champions. You have people who, like for the longest, Canelo was kind of slowly guided and he could put asses in the seats. He has a unique look. So he was selling and he was getting prime real estate in spots on Mayweather cards or whatever, fighting Alfonso Gomez or whatnot, based on really his looks. He hadn't done anything. He knocked out Carlos Baltimore, who was 41. You know what I'm saying? So I don't judge it based on that. Like I said, Kovalev, he hasn't fought top, like, you know what I mean, the top dudes, but are they giving him opportunities? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who haven't. Keith Thurman hasn't fought the top welterweights, but I think he can beat him. It's just a matter of getting the opportunity, who's marketable, who's going to sell, what network they're on. There's a lot of different things that are factored into why fighters aren't getting opportunities, and I think Kovalev kind of falls into that category. I don't think it's an issue of him not necessarily having the skills. It's a lot of it has to do with he's with main events and they don't, you know what I mean, doesn't speak English and maybe he's not as marketable. He doesn't talk shit like the same like Broner or whoever. So let me know what you guys think. Adonis Stevenson, like I said, he could prove me wrong. He's a slick boxer. He's a good fighter, but my money's on Kovalev. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.